Hey dudes, I'm the one and only Grosso guy, and a lot of you have recommended and requested that I do commentaries for my Batman series as well as my Flash series. On all my Flash commentaries, just comment like, "Oh, can you do some Batman commentaries?" And well, here you are. I figured why not? Only I'm going to be doing something relatively different. Instead of doing per episode, I'm going to compile all the episodes from each season and make commentaries on those as well as Knightfall. So you're going to get all of season one in this one, all of season two in the next one, and then Knightfall. Because it's only 5 episodes each, and these are relatively shorter episodes. If you haven't seen the original episodes themselves, I'll put a link in the description for you, and you can go watch that, and then you can watch the commentary without my ramblings. But if you have and you're ready to hear my commentary on the recreation of these, well, then let's get started. Okay, so this opening scene here with goons playing cards, they have some human trafficking going on and a dog. This has always been like the ideal Batman scene for me, like the opening of like a Batman movie or series. Anytime I ever wrote a script, not only for myself but other people, I always wrote this scene like a dog gets pulled in the shadows, the goons get picked off one by one. It's like a stealth moment, and then like the reveal of I'm Batman. Never really led into like a big story or anything, just this scene. This could have been a short for all I know. And so like I think I originally wrote this for Mr. Disco Taco for a Batman series that didn't see the light of day, as well as DT98 Films, and then only recently an old Red Hood project I wrote for DT98 Films. You could see some semblance. He released that to like combine it to his Injustice series. So like if you go watch that new video of his, you'll see some semblance there with the kidnapped people and the cards and stuff. The only thing I don't think I included was the dog, which I don't know why I did that, because I love dogs. Why would I want Batman to hurt a dog? But nonetheless, yeah, that I actually made this scene myself is, I love that, because this had always been something I'd written in with Batman scripts, and I finally did it. And this opening here is like a solid minute of just pure silence. The reason for this is I originally used the Mask of the Phantasm theme song, and that got copyrighted. So I took that out to avoid, being copyrighted. And it's just like a minute of silence panning through a Lego city that I probably got off of Google Images, for crying out loud. So we're going to skip past that. Okay, so then Alfred wakes up Bruce, and this was more innovative. Whatever I used for the pillow there and the blanket, like, it wasn't Lego, and even the trees outside, that was stuff I got from like Michael's craft store, I'm pretty sure. And I don't even do stuff like that anymore. I should start doing that again. I kind of like that. And also just the scene itself, what kind of inspired it with the push-ups and the little banter between Bruce and Alfred. I think that was just Batman Begins. Like, there's a scene where he climbs out of bed and he's doing push-ups, and they're just, cracking little jokes between each other. Batman Begins, the entire Nolan trilogy itself was a big influence for this series, because Nolan took his series in a slightly different direction. It was very Batman, but it was also more realistic and grounded, and I took a lot of inspiration from that. So, yes, that. And then I introduced Harold, this character. I first found out about Harold when I read Batman Hush. And the reason why I wanted to use him was not only because he's a character with a disability and mute. I thought it'd be nice to use a character like that. I also didn't want to use, like, everybody was using Lucius Fox. I was like, no, there has to be another character sort of like that. And this is like Batman's mechanic for his Batmobile, but I was like, you know what, let me throw in, he also makes his gadgets for him. I figured I'd do a 2-for-1 and make Harold that type of character. And that's kind of why I introduced Harold. I think he really only appears in this episode, so. Okay, and then funny thing about that shot there, that was from my friend Ulchin Animations, Michael. I was busting his balls. I took his shot from his Daredevil series, so that's pretty funny. And then this scene here, this guy, Philip Reardon, is the Ten-Eyed Man. I thought it'd be cool to take a character like that from the comics who's goofy, has like a bunch of eyes on his hands, and actually make him into a realistically grounded character that just uses eye drops in his eyes. He has like poor eyes, so it relates to that Ten-Eyed Man thing, but it's also realistic. And I don't know how I did the dark lighting, but I like that because I remember I didn't have to build a set. It was just pure nothing. It was just all dark. And then back to those trees. That's from like I said, Michael's craft store. I just remember a lot of comments saying like, "Oh, is that weed or something?" I was like, "No. That's just from Michael's craft store." Okay, and so then this character Orpheus. I confession time. I didn't know who Orpheus was. I just wanted there to be a character that was like Batman's informative, like a snitch of sorts. And so I was like, okay, let me search up and see if there's a character like that in the comics. And I found out there relatively was a character named Orpheus, but I didn't look past anything other than I saw that was his name and that was like part of what he did. So I was like, okay, that's it. And then later I did some more research on the Orpheus character, and he's nothing like the character I made. But yeah, so Orpheus was kind of an OC, just a new name for him, like a name ripped from the comics. And then this scene here, where Roman Sionis, he's gonna call out like whoever snitched on him. This scene was inspired from a scene in NBC's The Cape, where there was like a cake on the table, and he was like, "Whoever the snitch is doesn't get the cake," something like that. I recall it because I was so mad I didn't have like a Lego cake or something to put on the table. But that's what inspired this scene for like he's gonna single out the snitch and kill them, which of course was Orpheus. Which, you know, like I don't know why I bothered with introducing Orpheus and killing him off. Like that has no impact or value at this point. Like you don't know who he is. Like you had like one scene and it was so short. But I think it was because of that Black Mask. I wanted to make Black Mask do something big and then set him up as the season 1 villain, which you'll see that doesn't really happen. But that was the original plan, was Black Mask would be the season 1 villain. What happens, you ask? Well, let's watch episode 2. You'll find out what happens. All right, so this opening scene here where Batman's investigating. Yeah, I made him wearing that police uniform because I wanted him to do detective work, but not purely as Batman. I always liked whenever Bruce went undercover as like, you know, he went undercover as not Joe Chill. What's he go undercover as? Matches Malone. You know, I always like it whenever he goes on the streets like that. So I was like, oh yeah, it'd be kind of cool if he like disguises himself as a cop and he's faced away from Gordon and Gordon's asking these questions and Bruce is like, oh crud, like what if he sees my face and he knows who I am? I thought it'd be for a cool, tense moment. And that's why I wrote this scene here. And also a good way to introduce Gordon because he wasn't in the last episode. It's like, oh shoot, I'd probably better introduce Commissioner Gordon. Or he's not commissioner here, but you know what I mean. Okay, you know what? Let me point something out. So something unique about my series, whether it be a good thing or a bad thing, is there was never a bat cave. Bruce always operated out of Wayne Manor. And it wasn't purely for like story reasons. I'll be honest, like the main reason was because I didn't think I could build a good bat cave. I would have probably just made like a gray wall. And that would have been it. But then it wound up like story-wise, like my reasoning was he doesn't really come out of the house. Like, you know, he isn't social. Like he's just purely Batman. So it's not like anybody would go into Wayne Manor anyways to steal his Batman equipment was my story reasoning. But the real reasoning was because I didn't think I could build a good Batcave. Hey, and then little pop quiz for you. What do you think's on those plates? What is that? Wrong. It's not poo. It's not poo. I got a comment asking that. That's gross. No, it's chocolate. It's supposed to look like steak, but it was basically, I think it was like a Hershey's Kiss or something. And I bit a chunk of it and I broke it up into 2 pieces. And yeah, it's chocolate, but it's supposed to look like steak. So I kind of like that because that's also innovative. That wasn't like, now if I had to like have a scene where people are eating steak, I'd be like, oh crud, what do I use for the steak? But back then, my young mind was smart enough to put chocolate on a plate. So yes, okay, so now what I was saying the last episode about Roman Sionis being the villain of the season, I originally intended for Ignatius Ogilvy here that he would be working with Penguin and Roman Sionis would manipulate him into killing Philip Reardon and then he would kill Penguin and he would be the top dog. But instead what I figured is I was like, okay, you know what? No, let me make Ignatius Ogilvy already the Emperor Penguin and he blackmails and betrays Roman Sionis, which happens later. So yeah, originally I planned for Black Mask to be the villain of season 1, but it wound up being Emperor Penguin. Not really, you know, he doesn't do too much throughout the season, but that's the direction I was going with this scene and how my attention shifted already in episode 2. Okay, and then this scene here, Batman interrogating this guy on the roof. I really liked me some aggressive Batman moments. He just completely tosses this guy over the ledge at the end of the interrogation. Okay, so let me emphasize something. The reason why I put sticky tack around Philip Reardon's head here is that's supposed to be like bandages that Orpheus or Batman or both messed with his eye drops and did something that whenever he put the eye drops in, it hurt his eyes. And so, like, yeah, he's supposed to be blinded wearing bandages there. I don't think I made that clear enough. Maybe I did, but I just wanted to point that out for the sake of what I intended with that. Okay, and then this scene here, we're nearing the end of episode 2 now. Ignatius Ogilvy and Roman Sionis, they're going to blackmail each other. And originally, like I said, I wanted Roman Sionis to be the villain, so he was going to kill Emperor Penguin here. But then I was thinking, oh shoot, no, how does he become Black Mask? I know in the comics, he gets the mask burned to his face. It becomes a part of him. So I was like, all right, Ignatius Ogilvy, he's going to be the one that tries to kill Black Mask. And how's he going to do that? He's going to try to burn him alive, except he'll survive and escape, but with the mask burned to his face. That was originally what I was going to attend. So Roman Sionis wasn't going to die here. He was going to probably be in it for like, I don't know. I don't know if I planned for the whole series, maybe just another episode, but I wanted him and Ignatius Ogilvy to have a bit of a rivalry. And that was going to start with this scene, but instead the direction I took it is I just like, I don't know, I just killed Black Mask. But yeah, that was the tension of this scene with the fire and stuff. Okay, and then I introduce Harvey Bullock. And so the reason why I wanted to do that with Gordon is I had watched HBO's Spawn at the time, Todd McFarlane's. It's like an animated series, not to be mistaken with the movie or anything. And in that series, minor spoilers. I mean, it's been done in other media before, but there was two detectives, and I think one of them betrays the other, like he was like corrupt or something. And I wanted to do that because I was like, oh, that's awesome, that's interesting for like friends, like two partners, and then like, yeah. So I wanted to do that with Harvey Bullock and and Gordon, so that way it would be like the story arc here that Gordon in Gotham, like nobody gets to keep their hands clean, kind of thing. And like I said, I feel like that's definitely been done before, but that's what I was intending here. And it was also my way of introducing Batman to Gordon, starting their partnership and stuff. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, that little thing in Gordon's hand, that was meant to be like a to-go coffee cup or something. So, wanted to point that out as well in case you didn't come to that conclusion yourself. On to episode 3. Here we go. So, that hammer there, fun story. I originally, for this court scene, wanted Thor's hammer, but I was going crazy because I couldn't find Thor's hammer, so I just made that big, giant hammer out of a lightsaber handle and a brick. But, yeah, I did have Thor's hammer, I just couldn't find it. And, yeah, so I introduced Harvey Dent here. That's supposed to be, I think that's supposed to be Sal Maroni. Oh, yeah, this shot was purposeful. It was supposed to be like a two-faced nod, like, haha, you only see half his face. So, yeah, Sal Maroni there, he was supposed to throw the acid in his face and turn him into Two-Face in this scene. But then I decided against that because I was like, well, we're just now meeting Harvey Dent. You're not going to really care. So I was like, okay, I'll make him become Two-Face some other way. And I had also decided, as you'll see later on, I was like, no, you know what? I don't want to do the acid thing. I want to make him get, like, his face burned or whatever. I want him to become Two-Face some unique way. Okay, and then this scene here. I introduced, there's like an app called Batwatch. I don't know if this was my idea or if this was from a comic or something. Please let me know if I had taken it from a comic. But I think I came up with this idea, Batwatch, that it's just like this fan thing that's giving Batman trouble that like thugs are using to know where Batman is at so they can evade him. And I thought it'd be a fun little subplot. I didn't really know where I was going with it, but that's why I introduced it here, because it was just my own little thing. And finally, this intro. Okay, so this was a bit like Noir. It was more of a refined intro, and the intro is actually supposed to tell a story. It was supposed to be the origin of Bruce, the alleyway, him training, I'm pretty sure the airplane, I don't know if that was supposed to be him returning or leaving, and Red Hood, and it was supposed to be a little backstory, like the backstory before Gotham After Midnight, what led into it, which there's Gotham Before Midnight now, kind of clears that up if you want to check it out. It's a prequel series done by Darklight Pictures. I won't be doing a commentary for that because while I did write it, it was animated and edited by Darklight Pictures. So I feel like that's more his story, like the creation process. I could maybe share details of the writing process with you, but I wanted to focus mostly on Gotham After Midnight and Laughter After Midnight. Alrighty, and then in this scene, I introduced another character for another subplot. Just so much getting crammed in here. In this scene, I introduced Dick Grayson, but I didn't want to do what everybody usually does and make him in the circus and make him Robin. No, I was like, no, you know what? Let me skip ahead to whenever he becomes a cop and make him a part of the police department and tie him into the story that way. I thought it'd be more interesting to make his origin story there. I don't know if I originally planned for him to be Robin before Nightwing. I do make him just jump to Nightwing, but I at least wanted his origin to be different, so it's not just the generic same little thing that you usually see from the character. And you know what? Another thing let me point out, the whole reason why I brought Harvey Dent into this episode in the first place is I was also reading Earth 1, Batman Earth 1, which in that, Harvey has a sister, and she, spoilers, she becomes Two-Face. And so I was going to do that originally. I wanted to do something unique with Two-Face is my point. And so that's why I think it's this scene here. It's either this scene or another scene afterwards in the episode is very akin to Earth 1 dialogue, but that was between Harvey's sister and Bruce. That essentially he stays inside. He's a recluse. You know, he doesn't do anything with Wayne Enterprises, and he needs to get out there and do it. And I tie that into Alfred's character because Alfred in my series, he doesn't support Bruce as Batman, which you definitely have seen that before from Alfred's character. And so, but the main reason why I did that was because I wanted to do Batman stuff. You know, that's what we're here to watch. Batman. We're not here to watch Bruce Wayne in a boardroom all day. I'm pretty sure I even have him say a line like that where he's like, what, sit in a boardroom all day? Yeah, forget that. But it's also like there's nothing that adds to the story if you think about it, unless you make like Wayne Enterprises corrupt or something, but that's been done before. Like, no, normally if you follow like the Nolan trilogy or something, then like Bruce is just, you know, like Bruce Wayne is just a persona that he puts on to buy time. And if it's not putting anything forth into the plot itself when he's Batman, then what does it add to the story? It kind of feels like a pointless thing to include. So that's why he barely does anything as Bruce Wayne in my series, and it's solely Batman. But I also felt the need to address it. And the way that Earth 1 Loki handled that, I was like, hey, I could roll with this. Which, back to Harvey. So I was like, all right, Sal Maroni needs to be the one that gives Harvey the Two-Face vibes. And Harvey Bullock, I was like, I also got to show that he's corrupt and a bad guy. So I'm going to make it so he was the one who was there, which that's some inspiration from Noir. Spoilers for that if you never read that. Ben Urich is there whenever Uncle Ben gets eaten. And I think I kind of like drew comparisons there. Like, well, maybe he didn't like, while he wasn't the one that did it himself, he was there. He could have stopped it, but he didn't do anything. And so that's the way I wrote Harvey Bullock in there. So he's despicable, but he's not that unforgivable. You know what I mean? And also, so now Harvey is dead, but he's also Two-Face. And I thought it was so clever because I was like, the way that happened is he got beaten on the one side of his face instead of a burn. Whoa. And I don't know. I don't know if that's smart or stupid, but I thought it was cool at the time. Fun little fact. You see that little blue line there on the wall to the left of Harvey Bullock? Yeah, that means I was using my Logitech C920 at the time camera because that had little blue lights on the sides and with the camera in between. So I don't know if this was before or if like the tape came off after, but how I solved that is I put some black tape over it. I think it was after because you only see the one blue line. I think like one slither of tape fell off and the other stayed on is what happened. But okay, episode 4. Finally we get into some Wayne Enterprises stuff, and I think a big reason why I wanted to do that was because of Batman Telltale. I was playing Batman Telltale, I think that just came out at the time, and they had made it so Penguin was going to take over the company instead of Bruce or something like that. Something along the lines of that. And I was like, hey, I have Ignatius Ogilvy, the Emperor Penguin. What if I use him and do something similar? So that's the direction I was going to take it then. I was like, and it would give his character some more motivation and play, because he hasn't shown up. Shoot, he hasn't shown up for episode 2 and 3, has he? So yeah, I was like, okay, if he's supposed to be the villain, I better get him involved. Fun little fact: that guy with the orange hair there, to the far right, the guy with the orange hair was supposed to be Mr. Reese from the Nolan trilogy. Which, if you know anything about that, everybody speculated that he would become the Riddler, and I don't think I really planned for Mr. Reese to become the Riddler in my series, because Riddler shows up later on. But I thought it would be interesting to just have that little cameo of the character. Okay, skipping past the intro now. So these guys storming Wayne Enterprises, they're supposed to be the Royal Flush Gang. I think I was going to make them original characters. I just gave them the Royal Flush Gang title for the sake of making them, actual villains. But the reason why I wanted to use these guys is I was inspired by the MTV Spider-Man series, the CGI one, whenever like those people with the jetpacks took over the news station. And also I had just watched a heist movie where these people, they had like some kind of text-to-speech thing, which is why I made them not talk and use the text-to-speech thing. It was like a cross between that. I was like, okay, yeah, I want to have like a gang of criminals that do something like that, and that's why I introduced these people. And then Bruce takes one of them out, and the reason I did that was because I was like, okay, I want to have Bruce in a bind. He doesn't have his bat suit, but he has to stop them. So how does he do that? I was like, I'm going to make him dress up as one of the Royal Flush Gang people and trick him, kind of just mingle in and take him down from the inside. I thought that'd be so cool. Like, I don't know why. I mean, I still think it's really cool whenever Bruce or any superhero does something without their super suit. Like, they just, like, they wear something else and they still, like, don't get caught with their identity. I just think it's so cool. Like, they go incognito. They wear, like, a hood or something. Okay, so here the SWAT team was going to move it. The SWAT team is one guy. But originally I had planned for a Year One-esque moment where a SWAT team was going to storm in and Bruce was going to have to evade them and escape, because they would have thought he was a part of the Royal Flush Gang. Even if he was Batman, they would have probably gone after him. But I wanted a moment like that, like Batman versus the SWAT, only I was too lazy to do it, so I didn't do it. That was just cut from the script. Anyway, so Bruce finds this device. He finds out it's Wayne Tech, and it relates back to that person that was supposed to take over the company, which it was going to be Ignatius Ogilvy, and that's how I was going to tie Emperor Penguin into the story and this scene into the story. That changes in episode 5. You'll see. We'll get to that, but I wanted to place that story thread here, and we'll pick it up later. All right, just try to remember that. But no, before we get into that, Harvey Bullock goes to Ignatius Ogilvy. Now, I remember the only reason why I really forced this scene in, not really forced, but why I wrote this scene in, was because the two voice actors, Edwin Tiong and Lance Newman, they had never worked together before, and they had heard of each other, and they wanted to work together in the same scene or something. So I was like, okay, I could do that. That's not too hard. So that was partially why I wrote this in, but also because it's tying into, I wanted to make Harvey not despicable. I didn't want people to hate him. I wanted them to be like, okay, yeah, he's still corrupt and he still needs to he's still a problem. But I didn't want people to hate the guy, make him pure evil. No, I wanted to make him friends with Gordon. And so he's like, I can't do it myself. Can you have somebody else take him out? And so that was the whole point of this scene as well. Wow, we're already on the finale. So, opening scene here. I had originally planned for this episode to be where the Reaper goes after Ignatius Ogilvy, and Bruce, as Batman, would have to protect the Emperor Penguin. I thought it'd make for an interesting episode. Now, this changes, but that was the original plan with my introducing the Reaper. And also, one of the main reasons why I wanted to introduce the Reaper was because he's the villain of a comic, Batman Year 2. Bet you didn't know there was a Year 2 comic. There's not just Year 1, there's also Year 2. So I wanted to introduce the Reaper because I was like, okay, this will kind of make it seem like Batman's in his second year because of this villain. That was my way of thinking. And then I also thought it'd be great to, with how many subplots haven't been resolved yet, to bring in Jason Todd. And Jason Todd, I wanted to make him kind of the next Orpheus, make him an informant for Bruce on the streets, just jump to him being Red Hood and make him Bruce's inside man on the streets and stuff. So that's kind of why I brought Jason Todd in to the fold. and you'll see how I try to tie that in with a scene with Dick Grayson later on, but it wasn't completely like cramming in. Like it is cramming in, but okay, so yeah, Batwatch. I don't think that was a plot thread that like I was even continuing. I think that was just like one scene in episode 2 or 3, and I was like, okay, I better wrap that subplot up and make it, like a hack or like a big fan, and make Batman track the source and stop it, put a stop to it. And so there's probably tons of hacker villains. I don't know why I chose the Riddler, but I was like, okay, let me make it the Riddler. You know what? I think partially what I was trying to do here was make it so Batman tells him like, hey man, like what you did was wrong, and that would kind of piss Riddler off. He'd be like, dude, I was a fan, what the hell? And so he would decide, I'm gonna become the Riddler and be a bad guy. And so and it was gonna, I think that was gonna be a part of season 2. I was gonna make season 2 Riddler the villain, and that's why Bruce talks to Alfred right here, and I was gonna make it so Riddler's like, huh, who are you talking to? And so then he would kind of deduce like Alfred, Bruce Wayne, and he would figure out Batman's identity, which doesn't make him a genius, but since like it's the Riddler, I figured like, yeah, whatever. Anyways, I don't do that, but that was what I was intending with some of the stuff in this scene. Okay, so then Dick Grayson shows up and confronts Jason Todd. Yeah, I wanted a scene like this because these two have always had like an interesting dynamic in the comics, and it's not, this definitely isn't like the comics. It's far from it. But I wanted to like have them have a certain an iffy partnership. So I was like, okay, so Dick's a cop, Jason's like I wouldn't say a thief, but like a criminal, and I thought it'd be cool to introduce him like that. Okay, and so this guy with the orange hair is supposed to be, I think that's supposed to be Officer Flass, I'm not sure, because in year 1, he has a baseball bat and he tries to beat up Gordon. And so I was like, okay, let me have a little Easter egg, I guess, to that. And also have Batman save him. I think I just wanted Batman to save him, because how the hell did Batman know where he was? But I was like, okay, let me have Batman save him. And he's like, hey, thanks, man, like, and further cement their partnership. I was really trying to cram in whatever little amount of character development and character relationships as I could with what little time I had, you could see. And I'll get to like why it was so crammed in a moment. But I just wanted to bring that up so it could be like a seed that's planted that'll grow later on. Okay, so yeah, Ignatius Ogilvy is dead. I just had a problem with killing off every character in my entire series. And so, like, the reason why I did this is because, like I said, I was going to make it so Bruce had to protect him throughout the episode. But, like, the script was already getting long. The episode was already getting long. I was like, dude, I can't keep having a bunch of subplots. I can't keep going with this. So I was like, okay, he's dead. Reaper's going to be the villain. Whatever, Okay, and then Harvey and Gordon confront each other. So originally this scene, what I wanted for them is I was gonna have like a gunfight, like a shootout between the two, and Gordon was gonna be forced, to kill Bullock. Like he was gonna have to shoot him and get his hands dirty, and it was gonna be like a defining moment for Gordon, like teach him, or at least like a fist fight or something, Only I was too lazy. I was too lazy to animate a shootout or a fist fight. So they just kind of talk it out. They just kind of like Gordon just kind of yells at him a little bit. And so I think there's one punch thrown. So at least I do that. But yeah, no, you know what? I think that them talking it out, it works. It's fine because that way Gordon isn't forced like to kill or arrest Bullock or whatever. No, I guess he could have arrested him. That would have been good. But, he's not forced to kill him or anything. So I think that works because Gordon then he gets to keep his good guy, whatever, his persona and stuff. So like, I think it works that it was just a talk scene. Okay, so then Alfred and Bruce, this little plot twist. Then it turns out Alfred was the bad guy all along. And let me tell you, I did not plan this at all. Like, this was decided, like, as I was writing episode 5. And a big reason for this is because of Batman Telltale in the end, like, there's like a little card, like Alfred gets kidnapped, and there's a card that says like the butler did it. I was like, oh, what the hell? Like, Alfred, you're betraying me? What does that mean? And then I guess I read into it too much. And then also, whenever you save him, he's acting weird. Like, he's so sus. He's like, oh, Master Bruce, you came for me, like acting all delirious. I was like, no, like, Alfred, you're a traitor, bro. And he wasn't. But that got me thinking, like, what if he was? so there, like, the train had left the station, and it only picked up traction whenever, like, there was another plot twist where Selena Kyle, like, she had done something by the end of the series where, like, she was like using you the whole time. I was like, oh my god, what a plot twist. I actually trusted her. So I wanted to have my own awesome plot twist. It was already in my head that Alfred should be that bad guy, and you know what, so I took that and I was like, I can make this work, because I had so many unresolved plot threads, dude, that needed resolving, that I was like, Alfred's the solution to it. The Royal Flush Gang, you know, like, who hired them? Who sent them? Alfred. and who was that person that was trying to take over the company? If it was an Emperor Penguin, Alfred. What was the whole point of Batwatch? Like, you know, like, why did that come into the equation? Alfred, like, I don't remember, like, what the other reasonings were. There was a lot of them, but the point is, like, all of my unresolved subplots, everything that would have been that I didn't do, got wrapped up by Alfred. And I was like, thank God for you, Alfred, that I could, like, put all the blame on you and make you a bad guy. Okay, but then this final scene, you know, this scene was detrimental because it has Jason Todd and Dick Grayson there, and Reaper. Like, I didn't tie up Reaper as the villain. And so Reaper goes after Loeb. I was going to make him kill Loeb here, and that would be how Gordon becomes the commissioner. And then also, because Jason Todd and Dick Grayson are there, they saw Batman save the day. So, like, hey, Batman's a hero. We should team up with him, right? I think even, like, Dick tries to help. Like, he shoots at Reaper or something. So yeah, this was supposed to, like, introduce them to each other low-key without them even really interacting. And even Gordon shows up here now. So yeah, this was meant to set that all up. And there's this little montage of Gordon becoming the commissioner, Alfred with his resignation letter, and then Dick and Jason seeing the bat signal to kind of set that up. And which also the bat signal, there hadn't been the bat signal the whole series. It was like, okay, let me have the bat signal and set up the next season that him and Gordon are working together. And I feel like this really worked. Like, originally, I think I just animated, just took some pictures of some stuff of, like, Gordon and Batman moving. I didn't even write any dialogue, and I just wrote the dialogue after. But the reason why was because for this scene, I wanted Gordon to be like, I don't trust Bullock. He betrayed me. And Batman would be like, I don't trust Alfred. He betrayed me. It's like, hey, but we have each other. Like, so Gordon and Batman's trust would be tight, tighter than bark on a tree. Okay, and then that's it. I mean, wow, that went by so fast. 5 episodes. And that's what I was going to say. Why, now we're coming back to why everything was so crammed and rushed and just so, holy cow, just disordered. And the reason for this is because I originally intended for this to be like 10 episodes or something. This was originally intended to be the longer series, but Flash wound up being the one that was the longer series. And so Batman was reduced down to 5 episodes. So that's why a lot of the stuff that would have been stretched out, like, like Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, if I even decide to introduce him in that original draft, Emperor Penguin, like a lot of the people that die, like, if they died, at least, like, their deaths would have impacted you a bit more. Like, no, it was just kind of rushed and really crammed in there and disordered because I was, like, trying to find my way around. Now, I would have definitely done, I was worried that my whole entire commentary was just going to be me saying, like, I wish I had done things differently. And I know a lot of people like this series, and I appreciate that. I do think it's a good take, like a different take from what you usually see, so I can appreciate that I did that much. But, like, if I could, I don't think that a single thing from this series would be the same if I made another Batman series now, or if I had done it now. I think I would have done things very, very differently. rather than figuring out as I went along and changing it up. I would have just kind of plotted everything ahead in advance and actually made sure it was all coherently like done, so nothing was rushed or crammed, and just better. But for what it was, I think it turned out all right. And I thank you for just enduring this with me. I hope you join me for season 2. If you're a new subscriber or viewer, then I don't know why this was your first video you watched on my channel. I hope you stick around and watch my other stuff. And welcome to the Grosso group. Dang, you earned it. Welcome.